And it ain't no use to sit there wondering why you never do somehow.
Hi, I'm Jamie Andreas. Welcome to the Principles of Correct Practice for Guitar. I'm going to be going through the foundation exercises from my book and showing you in great detail how to practice them. But first, let me caution you that even though I intend for this presentation to be extremely helpful to you, it's not a substitute for studying my book. Your ability to practice effectively is only going to be as great as your understanding of the fundamental concepts explained in my book, The Principles of Correct Practice for Guitar. I'm not going to be re-explaining them here. I'm going to use them and assume that you're not only familiar with them, but that you've read them often, thought about them, and have begun to use them in your daily practice, and that you're continuing to study them, think about them, and integrate them even more deeply into your practice. Now first, I'm going to discuss sitting with the guitar when you practice. Sitting and holding the guitar is the most fundamental aspect of technique we have to deal with. You have to find a good sitting position for yourself, and don't stop looking for one until you're sure that you found it. It can change as you gain experience, but at any given time you have to at least feel comfortable during the process of practicing and playing. You certainly should not be experiencing any pain. If you are, you have big problems and must re-examine everything from the bottom up. As you know from my book, there are two sitting positions for playing in practice. The casual position, which looks like this, with the guitar over on the right leg, and the so-called classical position, where we use a footstool, and which looks like this, guitar over on the left leg. So what's the difference between these two positions? Well, the casual position is certainly the one you see more often. For practicing, I don't recommend it, and I'll tell you why. It's harder to stay relaxed in the casual position, especially for beginners. The guitar doesn't receive much support from the frame of the body itself as it does in the classical position. It's a lot freer to move around, and it does move around. And this means that you will be unknowingly tensing various muscles to try to stabilize the guitar. In fact, many students keep certain muscles chronically tense while they practice. This can result in anything from making it hard to learn to impossible to learn, to developing physical problems such as tendinitis or carpal tunnel syndrome or any number of aches and pains. And further, most people start learning guitar by learning chords in the first position, down here on the neck, which is extremely difficult to do for beginners. This makes the entire body tense immediately, and then with that tension, the poor student attempts to train the muscles for precise and delicate action. Now, this stress and tension constantly being built into the muscle memory actually prevents many people from learning to play and is the reason they quit in frustration. So I recommend the classical position for practice, whether you're playing classical or any other style. It allows the body to be in the best alignment for relaxed and poised action of all the muscles used to play the guitar. By practicing in this position, you'll learn faster and more effectively and be able to play in the casual position much more easily when you choose to do so. If you practice or play in the casual position, I also recommend that you use a footstool to elevate the right leg. Now, most people are a lot more comfortable with the right leg raised a bit. Often I see people in the casual position with their heel raised up in the air the whole time, like that, even if they don't have a footstool when it's on the floor. That's because their body is trying to tell them to raise the guitar up a bit. But you'll be a lot more comfortable using a footstool to do this than keeping your heel in the air. Now, let's take a look at the classical position if you're playing an electric. When you're in the classical position, you want to bring the head of the guitar up to around eye level. And this is a general guideline that you can experiment with, but that's what works for most people. If you're using an electric in the classical position, some electrics might be impossible to actually play in this position. Well, a flying V would be, let's put it that way. Some with a different shape of an electric, some are going to be a little more awkward than others. This one, in this body shape, tends to work out really well. So here's the classical position with an electric. The casual position with an electric would look like this. And as I said, I would recommend using a footstool to raise it up a bit. You can see, though, that in the casual position, the guitar does tend to move around quite a bit. Now, if you are playing classical guitar, using classical guitar, then I probably don't need to tell you, use the classical position. Remember about whole body awareness. Understand that you play the guitar with your whole body. If any part of your body is holding unnecessary tension, we could say that you are not sitting with the guitar properly. Everything begins with your chair, how you place your bottom on the chair, and then the alignment of your back, neck, and head. After that, it's the shoulders. Shoulder tension is epidemic, and there's nothing I ever say more to students than relax your shoulder. Most people's shoulders will tense with every move their fingers make. If you don't practice constant awareness of your shoulders after you've found your sitting position, you'll throw everything out of whack anyway. Remember, at the bottom of your practice, your most intense, no-tempo practice of whatever playing movements you are working on, return the shoulders to relaxation after every note. Keep in mind that in its details, sitting with the guitar is highly individual, and you have to grasp the fundamental principles involved and adapt them to your own body size and shape, and through experimentation and observation, find out what is best for you. And understand that I'm talking about sitting position while practicing. Playing is another matter. In playing, we may not even be aware of our body. Often we're focused on the music in just an emotional way. In fact, in playing, we're relying on the reflexes and muscle memory that we've developed in practice. We want the physical aspects of playing to mostly take care of themselves, run on automatic, so that we can focus on the emotional and musical aspects of what we're doing. So we may depart from our form when we actually play. We may give body English to a note. We can do anything we want as long as we get the notes. But in practicing, where our intention is to train our untrained muscles and nervous system to be able to make the notes in the first place, we have to spend most of our time intimately connected to our body and aware of every muscle, and their relative states of contraction and relaxation. So when we practice, we want to have the optimum position for relaxed, balanced, and poised action of the body, especially, of course, the arms and the hands. And this is the reason that I recommend the classical position. The reason that sitting with the guitar is so individual is because not only is your body highly individual in terms of the size and shape of your legs, arms, torso, etc., but also how your body has been conditioned over the years will be unique to you yourself. Now, some people have terrible posture. They slump all the time. They don't know how to sit in a relaxed and poised way even without a guitar in their lap. So telling someone like this, sit comfortably with your back straight and not slouched while you're holding your guitar, may not mean much to them. They wouldn't know what it feels like. They would think being slouched is comfortable. So take all this into account and constantly evaluate yourself in terms of this. Use mirrors and get feedback from other people. The more feedback, the better. To educate yourself more about how to recondition your body if you feel you need to, do some reading about the Alexander technique as well as the Feldenkrais method. Now I'll give you some general guidelines that you should consider when it comes to sitting with the guitar for practice. Choose a level chair, not one that slopes backward even slightly. You'll cripple yourself if you practice on a backward sloping chair. Now here's an example of a chair to beware. I almost crippled myself one time after practicing on a chair like this for about an hour. It only has a very slight backward slant, but it also has a dip in the middle. And these things make a big difference to the muscles that must compensate for how this chair shifts your weight when you sit for practice. Don't practice on a soft chair, a couch, or a bed. Remember, when you play, you can sit anywhere you like. You can stand on one leg if you want to. But when you practice, you want to try to have a level chair that puts the top of your legs pretty much parallel to the floor. Okay, it can have a slight pad on it. I like to use this portable stool that I found. It has a slight pad on it. It's just the right height for me. And that means that when I sit in it, my leg is pretty much parallel with the floor. Now, how you sit in your chair once you've chosen one is extremely important. Here are some things to consider. Don't sit to the back of the chair. That's one of the biggest mistakes that people make, slouching back in the chair as they hold their guitar. You want to sit to the front edge of the chair with your weight pitched forward slightly. The small of your back will be pushed forward and not slouched down. So, as you're sitting, you don't want to be like this, with the back out and feeling slouched down. You want to be pushed in like that. Okay, pushed in slightly in the lower back, the body pitched forward slightly. Now you want to be sitting right into your own natural seat with a feeling that you're holding yourself comfortably upright with no strain, in a natural alignment to yourself that feels like it takes the least amount of your effort and feels even self-supporting. Now, maybe you never feel that way. If not, observe and examine yourself and how you feel in different positions in normal life. Experiment. Learn how to feel comfortable and discover what natural alignment feels like. I want to mention something about the position of the right leg. When teaching, I'm always finding myself adjusting where to place the student's foot. This leg works with the relaxed right arm to hold the guitar in place on the right side. If your leg is placed too far out, like that, the guitar will tend to fall forward like that. And too far in will make you tense. So you have to find just the right position, just the right amount of spread for that leg and where that foot goes on the floor, so that the guitar doesn't feel like it's going to fall off your lap, but instead feels secure. And of course your leg is also able to be relaxed. So experiment a bit with that. You don't want too far out that way. Experiment with different places to place your foot. It's not like there's only one position your foot will ever be in. You may vary it when you're actually playing. We certainly don't keep the body stationary during the course of playing or practicing. But even though you may move around, you'll always be feeling comfortable and balanced, getting what you want out of the guitar, and not feeling like you're struggling. Most people struggle because they are creating the very problems they're struggling with, or at the very least, they're allowing those problems to start and continue and grow bigger. A lot of those problems come from basic problems with sitting and holding the guitar, and that's why I've gone through this subject in such detail. Now we're ready to talk about placing the right arm. The details of placing the right arm and hand and getting the right position for yourself is again highly individual and requires experimentation based on understanding the general guidelines, which I will set out here. Just as one of the main variables in finding our sitting position is the size of our body and the length of our legs, when it comes to placing the right arm and hand, it is the size of our upper body and the length of our arms we must consider, as well as the size and shape of the guitar itself. For me, having my arm placed on the bout of the guitar so that it makes contact about an inch or two in front of the elbow is just right as a general position. This gives my arm a lot of support because the guitar itself takes a lot of the weight of my arm, allowing the muscles of the shoulder area and upper arm to relax more. Now, this position works for most people. However, if you are very tall, your arms are probably a little longer than usual, so you may find it difficult to get your arm positioned like this. You may find that in order to get your arm on top of the bout like this and still have your hand in position over the sound hole, that you have to hunch your shoulder up. Now that isn't good, and it would be a better idea to let your arm come down and to the side like this and come across the body of the guitar. So the crook of your elbow will actually be on the edge of the guitar. Now your arm will not receive the same support from the body of the guitar, but it's quite possible to play well in this position. It just requires a different adjustment of the muscles in the upper arm, especially the bicep. Be careful of two things. Keep the shoulder relaxed and don't let the hand go flat or turn like this. You want to keep the wrist elevation in a natural curve to the wrist because that will enable the thumb to stay out from the fingers. So instead of like this, being like that or like that, and if you have long arms, you're going to, instead of on top of the bout like that, let it come down so the crook of your elbow is on the edge of the guitar. Just make sure that you stay relaxed, keep the wrist elevation and the curve to the wrist. Classicals are standard in size and shape. Steel string acoustics are not. If you have a guitar with a big body, it's going to feel quite different when you place your right arm and hand. This one is not too much larger than my classical, so I'm pretty comfortable in this position playing fingerstyle on a steel string. Now here is the cup position, which is the basic position for the right hand in playing fingerstyle. As opposed to this fingerstyle position, the position for using a pick is quite different. The hand is going to be flat to the face of the guitar when using a pick, so the arm is flatter also, and the wrist is not as arched as it is in fingerstyle. In fact, the arm position for pick style is similar to the one just described for people with long arms playing fingerstyle. The crook of the elbow will be at the edge of the guitar. The arm won't be placed on top of the guitar, but as I said, the hand will be flat. I've noticed a curious thing in my years of teaching. A lot of students who want to play fingerstyle will insist on flattening their hands as if they were going to play pick style. And a lot of students who want to play pick style will insist on keeping the wrist arched as if they were going to play fingerstyle. We don't want the wrist arched for pick style. We want the hand and arm flat to the face of the guitar. Now, if you find it difficult to get into this position, and some people do, then try this. Start with your arm placed up here on the neck like this, and drag it back, keeping the hand flat to the guitar the whole time, until you end up like this, over the sound hole, with the arm flat to the guitar. Now we're going to talk about holding the pick. To position the pick, place the pick on the index, pointing toward the fingertip. Then place the thumb over it like this. Don't hold too far back on the pick. Hold up close to the tip. We'll learn later that we only want the tip of the pick going into the strings anyway. Most importantly, do not allow the fingers not holding the pick to tense up or brace themselves on the guitar. All beginners, when they play, tense the fingers of the right hand, not holding the pick, at the instant the pick applies pressure to the string. This is a form of sympathetic tension and must be avoided from the beginning. This would be tensing up while picking a note, and this is what it looks like relaxed. Usually a student will start with a relaxed hand, and then as the pressure is applied, they'll tense the fingers and curl them into the hand like this. The student will usually just go on practicing like this and building that tension into the hand forever, unless they use the principles later on, that is. For this reason, I insist on seeing those fingers out and relaxed when I teach beginners. Now, it's true that some great players play with the fingers curled into the hand, but that's because they're advanced enough to do that in a very relaxed way. Most beginners will not do it in a relaxed way. If you think you can, feel free to do so, but be on the lookout for tension if you decide to hold your fingers in. Another common bad habit is pressing the pinky on the guitar for support. Don't do it. If you have this habit, then you have already built a lot of tension into your shoulder and arm when you're playing that you're not aware of. This means that if you want to overcome this, you will have to have the discipline of doing a lot of correct practice to retrain the arm and hand to be able to play without the support of the braced pinky and without the feeling of tension in the arm, which may not even feel like tension to you because you're used to it. Now, there are times you may make contact with the body of the guitar, but whenever you do, it will be done lightly. Pressing on the guitar is done as a reaction to unknown and unfelt tension in the shoulder and arm. When you find yourself tensing in the fingers or pressing on the guitar because of the tension, stop and focus on your whole body and check it for tension, especially the shoulder, arm, and hand. Understand that the purpose of positioning your arm is to bring your hand into position to play the strings, or your pick if you're playing pick style, and you must be in a position to reach all the strings that you need to reach. Often a student will guarantee that they're going to have trouble actually getting their fingers or pick to the strings by the way they position the arm and hand before they even start to play. They do this by positioning the arm and hand so that the fingers or pick may be able to reach one or two strings, but will not be able to reach the other strings without a lot of trouble, if at all. For instance, a student will get ready to play a scale, and they'll get into a position like this, a position from which they can reach the 6th string, but they're not so ready to reach the 5th string, and certainly not ready to play the rest of the strings. Sometimes they'll start with a tense and press down position, so that they're really defeated before they even begin. In addition, as they start playing and going across the strings from such an inadequate position, the arm will tense as they try to reach the other strings, the wrist will start pressing on the body of the guitar, and by the time they get to the higher strings, they'll barely be able to even get the pick or the fingers to the string, if at all. By this time, the entire shoulder and the arm will be tense. And this is one of the reasons many people have trouble with fast scales that require the fingers or pick to move across all the strings evenly. What we need is a starting position that allows us to reach all the strings from top to bottom. It's important to understand that the muscles that move the hand across the strings are the muscles that move the forearm, and those muscles are in the upper arm and shoulder. Those muscles should be trained before the muscles that actually make the fingers strike the strings are trained. And this is almost never the case. Instead, the muscles of the upper arm and shoulder that move the forearm are taught to be tense while the beginner learns their first notes or chords. To prevent this from happening, we'll do the right hand string shifting exercise, which should be learned and done properly by all players, whether pick style or finger style. I'll now demonstrate the first and second step of this exercise with 3 different guitars. This is the basic position for the right hand. We will depart from this position in actual playing at various times, but the hand is in this position, the cup position, most of the time. From this position, I can reach the 3 bass strings with my thumb and the upper 3 strings with my fingers. Many basic arpeggio patterns that you will use for song accompaniments, as well as arpeggios in classical pieces, are executed easily from this position. However, before we talk about actually using the fingers, we must train the larger muscles that move the upper arm and forearm to do the movements that are required to move the hand into the different positions from which the fingers will play. As mentioned before, we need a position from which all the fingers can reach all strings. we're going to do the right hand string shifting exercise. First, we will lower the thumb so that the thumb is touching the first string, but the hand is still in the cup position. The movement will take place at the elbow. I'm going to lower the cup until my thumb is touching the first string. I'm going to make this move extremely slowly, and I'm going to check my body for relaxation before beginning, making sure I don't hold my breath before I start. As I lower my hand, I will watch it in the mirror to make sure I keep the cup shape. And I am most especially going to focus on my right shoulder as my hand lowers. I want my shoulder as relaxed when I get there as it was when I started. So let's lower the hand down. Hand is moving at the elbow, thumb is going to end up on the first string. Okay? Now, let's do that again, and you do it with me. I'm going to count to 10 as I lower my hand down to the first string. So here I am with my thumb at the fourth string. I'm going to count to 10 and lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm still in the cup position. Okay? And now we're going to begin to float the thumb upward toward the sixth string. Okay, I'm going to count to 3 and then begin to move from the elbow, float upward toward the sixth string, keeping in the cup position. Here I go. 1, 2, 3. The whole hand in the cup position is moving upward. Thumb is going to end up on the sixth string. I'm checking my breathing. I'm checking my shoulder as my hand moves up, and there I am. Now I'm at the sixth string, and I relax again as I feel my thumb very lightly touching the sixth string. Now I'm going to begin to move back down again to the first string. Here I go. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. I begin to move down. I'm relaxing my shoulder. I'm breathing. I'm checking my whole body as I move down toward the first string. Okay? And that's how that should be practiced at the bottom of your practice. Now step 2 of the right hand string shifting exercise. We make the same motions and allow the thumb to touch each string as we move string to string. I think I'll use a different guitar for this. I'll do this one on the electric just to show you how that would look. So place the thumb again on the first string. Breathe and relax. And I'm going to move up toward the sixth string and then back down. And now I'm going to do that with a pick. Okay, I'm holding the pick correctly. I bring the pick to the first string and I'm slowly going to move my arm. I have that flatter wrist position now. I'm moving up to the sixth string, keeping close to the strings. If I feel tension coming in there, I have to relax from the shoulder on down. And now I'm coming back down again, relaxing as I go. You might feel impulse for the arm to move out that way if tension goes into the shoulder. So we want a nice smooth motion all the way down. And now we're going to do the second step of the right hand string shifting exercise. I bring my thumb lightly to the first string, hand in the cup position. I'm going to now move string to string, touching each string. Movement from the elbow. Hand and thumb stay in the same relationship to each other. Here I go. Moving to the second string, lightly touching it. Moving to the third string, lightly touching it. Moving to the fourth string, lightly touching it. Moving from the elbow, checking my breathing, checking my shoulder constantly as I move, relaxing it as the arm takes a different position for each string. Now I'm coming back down, again, controlling the motion, relaxing everything from the shoulder to the fingertip, checking my breathing, checking my abdomen. And now I return to the first string. Done. Now I'll do it with the acoustic guitar and a pick. And now I bring the pick lightly to the first string, touch it. I won't let too much of the tip of the pick go in to the string, just lightly touching it. Again, same movement from the elbow as I come up and lightly touch the second string. If as you're traveling you feel wobblies or starting to move outward, you're getting tense in your shoulder and back and you need to relax. Touching the third string, I'm going to move to the fourth string. During the movement, I got to really relax and focus on the shoulder. Here I go to the fifth string, letting my shoulder go, checking my breathing. Here I go to the sixth string. I'm going to go back down, touching each string. Realize that when we're actually playing notes and applying force to the string, there's going to be a lot more tension to deal with than the tension that occurs just by these simple movements. That's why we do these simple movements by themselves. I move to the second string, and now I'm at the first string, and that is the second step of the right hand string shifting exercise. Okay, now we're going to move on to step 3 of the right hand string shifting exercise, where we're actually going to play each open string with a thumb or with a pick. But before doing so, let's review the idea taught in the book that when we apply force to a string, the string applies force back at us, and many different muscles must make adjustments in order to maintain our position. This reaction of the rest of the body to the force being applied back at our finger pressing on the string takes the form of those muscles tensing, and it is especially the muscles of the upper arm, shoulder, chest, and back that we want to pay attention to. Now understand that these muscles must tense somewhat, but they do not need to tense as much as they usually do tense. In other words, everyone, especially beginners, tenses up the rest of the body way too much at the point of highest force being applied to the string. Then what happens is that they maintain that tension and begin the next note with the extra tension generated from the previous note, and this is deadly and must be prevented. It's the source of countless problems, and it begins in the beginning, so we want to understand how to nip it in the bud in the beginning. Now, first we want to connect with the inner sensation of a relaxed arm. To do this, follow these steps. Get into the cup position and lower the hand down until the thumb touches the first string. Now, raise the thumb slowly off the first string and allow it to float in between the first and second strings. Feel your arm and shoulder and relax them as completely as possible while holding the thumb in between the strings like this. Now take your left hand, place it on your bicep in your right arm and feel that muscle with your hand. Realize that the bicep, as well as other muscles in the shoulder and arm, are keeping your thumb in its position right now. It has to contract a certain amount so that you can keep the thumb floating. We want to be able to feel the difference between this and when those muscles let go. So let's do that. Continuing to hold your left hand on the bicep, slowly lower the thumb and touch the first string extremely lightly. Now make the thumb firm and begin to allow the arm weight to come through and press on the string, pushing the string down. You can see that I'm actually pushing on the string. Watch in the mirror and see that string go lower from your arm weight. I'm going to, let me switch to another guitar so that you can see how that looks on an acoustic. Now you can see as I have my thumb on the string and I'll let go of the arm weight, it pushes on the string, and now I'm going to back off a bit and feel the shoulder and arm muscles re-engage and get firmer as they tighten and contract, and the arm weight no longer comes through the thumb. My thumb is off the string now, just in between those two strings. Now, when you do this, if you see or feel any wobbling and shaking of the hand in any direction up or down or outward away from the string, realize you're holding tension in the upper arm and focus your attention there and release it. Don't tense even more in order to try to control it. For many people, that's the first thing they do, and if you do that, you'll never make any progress. Now, this should be done often, every day for a minute or so, and at random during practicing. It's a great way to release tension from the arm, and I do it all the time. It can be done, of course, with a pick as well. Now that we've connected with the feeling of the difference between a relatively relaxed arm and a relatively tensed arm, let's bring that awareness into the operation of the thumb on the strings. When we play, the arm will actually be passing through many infinitely small gradations and increments of these states of relaxation and contraction. It's like a million tiny gears with tiny teeth meshing together to produce an extremely fine and controlled action. This is in contrast with the other extreme, which so many people suffer from, which is locking up the whole arm with tension before even applying any force to the string, and then keeping that level of tension all the way through the playing. So keep in mind as we do this exercise that all this incredible stuff is going on in your body. Now let's get back into the cup position with the thumb on the first string. Now touch the string lightly and then slowly increase the force you put to the string by using a combination of actual pushing thumb action and transferred arm weight. Pause a second and relax here. Feel the arm. Now we're going to push through the string and watch the thumb as we do so. Realize that immediately upon releasing the string with the thumb, the bicep again goes into action to prevent the continued downward motion of the arm, catching it in midair. Watch the thumb to make sure that it doesn't travel far after release from the string. Here we go, we're going to play the first string, keeping all this in mind. Watch the thumb, touch the string, push through, and relax. Now, keeping the hand in position, we will use movement at the elbow to raise the hand and bring the thumb into position to play the second string. Watch the thumb, move from the elbow. Check yourself at this point in a mirror to make sure that you haven't come out of the hand position. I bring my thumb up to the second string. Now touch the second string with your thumb. Watch the thumb, touch the string, push through, relax. Move from the elbow to the third string. Now touch the third string with the thumb, watch the thumb, touch the string, push through, relax. Move from the elbow to the fourth string. Touch, push through, relax. Move from the elbow to the fifth string. Touch, push through, relax. Move from the elbow to the sixth string. Touch, push through, relax. Now we're going to go back down the strings. The forearm motion will be falling with gravity rather than coming up against it. This is an entirely different experience for the body, so pay great attention to what everything feels like every time you practice. Here we go. Move from the elbow and place the thumb on the fifth string. Pressure, relax, push through, relax. Move from the elbow, thumb on the fourth string, pressure, relax, push through, relax. Move from the elbow, thumb on the third string, pressure, relax, push through, relax. Move from the elbow, thumb on the second string, pressure, relax, push through, relax. Move from the elbow, thumb on the first string, pressure, relax, push through, relax. Notice my hand is in the same position as when I started. This is your goal. Here's what the whole action looks like when it is all put together at a medium speed. This is also your goal. Okay, I look the same when I come back as when I started. And now step 3 of the right hand string shifting exercise with a pick. Do this in front of a mirror because you really need to see what's going on here. The big problem people have in developing technique with a pick is that they're holding unfelt tension throughout the arm. They hold that tension before bringing the pick to the string, they increase that tension while bringing force to the string, and then they maintain that increased tension in the arm after they play the note and bring that tension into the next note. The way all this bad stuff shows itself is in the inability to play fast and the gradual lessening of volume as speed is attempted. This is all due to the chronic muscle tension. Let's review the correct way to do a down pick. Hold the pick correctly and bring it to the first string, laying it on the string lightly. Now, using a combination of slight arm weight and pushing action from the elbow, begin to apply force to the string. Don't play it yet, but pose here and feel the arm and relax as much as you can in this position at the point of highest force. Now we're going to push through and play the note, but only let the pick go about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch past the string. Then we'll catch it and hold it in place and release the tension generated by applying force to the string. Here we go. Apply pressure, push through, catch the pick, and relax. Let's do it again on the second string. I touch the string, I apply force, I push through, I catch it, and I relax. And that's how to do a correct down pick. Now, up picks present more challenges than down picks. In plain English, that means people have a lot more trouble with up picks and mess them up more than down picks. Here, we're working against gravity, so we can't use it for applying force. Let's look at what goes wrong with up picks. As with down picks, the arm tends to over-tense at the point of maximum force applied to the string, locking up the arm. The pick then completes its action of pushing and moving the string in order to create the note with a tensed up arm holding it. The tensed up arm then bounces in a jerky way off the string, okay, often bouncing, bringing the pick out and away from the strings as it kind of bounces around like that. Okay, this is exactly the same thing as when you learn to fire a gun and they tell you to squeeze the trigger so that you'll use your arm in a way that allows it to absorb the shock of the force your finger applies to the trigger and not be knocked out of position by it. We want to absorb that force on the up pick also, so it doesn't just cause this jerky action of the arm. The best way is to make sure that we have maximum relaxation before we bring the pick to the string and maintain maximum relaxation as the pick begins to apply pressure, even though the tension will and must go up at the point of highest pressure. And most importantly, we want to release that effort immediately upon pushing through the string with a pick. Notice I use the word pushing in the same sense as the word squeezing is used in firing a gun. Another thing that commonly goes wrong when doing up picks is the way the motion of striking the string is actually done. When the hand feels the pick on the string, there's a great temptation to do an upward flick with the pick, which is actually a rotating action of the forearm. Okay? So a lot of people will do that when they do an up pick. One of the reasons this may happen is because the player has unknowingly locked up the shoulder and upper arm, and elbow movement, it doesn't feel like it's available to the body. So instead, the wrist does that little turn. Now I won't go into all the reasons why, but if this forearm rotation becomes a habit, along with a locked up elbow, you'll have lots of problems in developing your picking. So we will make sure that we have that slight elbow motion happening on our up picks as we do the right hand string shifting exercise, and watch closely for that. So before though, let's do a little preparatory exercise for the up pick. Bring the pick to the underside of the first string. Slowly apply pressure to the string, check for relaxation, push the string a bit, but not all the way through, don't make a note, just relax the pick as it's pressing on the string and then relax off of the string. As you do that, on and off, feel the elastic, rubbery quality of the string and bounce it back and forth a bit with your pick. Feel the feeling in your arm as your arm in a sense becomes one with the pick and the string, reacting in a minute way to the changes in the string tension as you push and then relax. Now, push and slowly push through the string and let the pick sound the string and stop it when it reaches halfway to the next string. Check to make sure the pick did not move outward from the strings like that, and also that you're as relaxed after the pick movement as before the pick movement. Check yourself from the shoulder on down to the fingertips, and then check the rest of your body for that simple action of pushing through the string and then catching the pick after doing the up pick. These movements of the down and up pick should be practiced like this every day. Even a few seconds here and there will build the right awareness into your reflexes, or a new awareness if you have to retrain. You're training your entire body when you do these exercises. I've seen people who play for 10 or 20 years who can't do these simple movements correctly. Okay, now we're ready to put this together into the third step of the right hand string shifting exercise. We'll get into position and then walk through at no tempo. Before we do the third step of the right hand string shifting exercise, I need to mention something about the up pick. One of the principles of correct practice says, let every motion you make end by placing you in position for the next note. This is true of both hands. For now, we want to apply it to our pick action. This means that when we do our up pick, since the following note is a down pick in this exercise on the next string, our up pick must carry us across that string so that we are positioned for that down pick. So if I'm like this doing an up pick, I have to end above the next string so I'm ready. We don't want to make the mistake of stopping in between the strings after our up pick and then having to initiate a new movement to position us for our down pick. This is an example of making a complete stroke. So now we're ready to do the third step of the right hand string shifting exercise. Bring the pick to the first string and rest it there. Check yourself for relaxation, then apply pressure to the string as before for the down pick. Push through the string and return to relaxation with the pick close to the string. Bring the pick slowly to the underside of the string and touch it. Begin to apply pressure slowly and push through the string. Let the pick go past the next string with the same motion that you did the up pick with as just described. So now I'm past the second string. We're floating with the pick above the second string, ready to repeat the same motions for the down and up pick now on the second string. Ready? Touch, pressure, play, relax, up pick, pressure, play, past the next string, and relax. I'm on the third string, touch, pressure, play, relax. I'm on the up pick, touch, pressure, play, past the next string, relax. The fourth string, touch, play, relax. Up pick, touch, pressure, play, past the next string, relax. Fifth string, touch, pressure, play, relax. Up pick, touch, pressure, play, past the next string, and relax. Now we're going to go back down the strings. We touch the sixth string, play, relax, up pick, touch, play, relax. Now we have to float down to the fifth string. Keep very relaxed in the shoulders. You let the pick fall to the fifth string, gently touch it. Fifth string, touch, play, relax, up pick, touch, play, relax. Float to the fourth string. Keep very relaxed in the shoulder. Let the pick fall to the fourth string. Play, relax, up pick, touch, play, relax. Down to the third string. Touch, play, relax. Touch the pick for the up pick. Play, relax. Float down to the second string. Touch, pressure, play, relax. The up pick, touch, play, relax. Float down to the first string. Touch the string. Pressure, play, relax. Up pick, touch, play, and relax. Okay, that completes the right hand string shifting exercise, step 3 with a pick. Understand that we have just walked through this exercise no tempo. Your approach in teaching yourself these skills should be to do this every day as we just did, working it up using the basic practice approach. We will now do the thumb up exercise. This exercise works on a skill that is vital to right hand functioning and in my experience completely overlooked as being the source of countless playing problems when it comes to fingerstyle and classical guitar. The source of the problem is very simple. The action of extending the thumb away from the hand causes sympathetic tension in the other fingers and indeed throughout the arm and up to the shoulder. What this means in playing terms is that unless you have already overcome this obstacle, every time you reach back for a bass note, extending the thumb, you will tense up and very likely go out of position with the right hand. Now here's what I mean. As the thumb raises up, the hand tenses, moves out of position, the fingers move away from the strings. This happens to many people and they go right on playing with tensed muscles, working that tension into their muscles and playing with it forever after, thinking the feeling of tension and the trouble it causes is normal. Okay? We want to be able to keep the fingers in position even though the thumb is moving around, rather than have it tense as the thumb goes up. Okay, from the cup position, we're going to lower the hand down and place all the fingers, including the little finger, on the first string and the thumb on the second string. Okay, everything is light and relaxed, of course. Now check your breathing and rotate your attention throughout the body, ending with placing your attention in the shoulder, arm, and hand. Keep the attention in the shoulder, arm, and hand, and slowly begin to raise the thumb back toward the third string. Keep the attention where it is, following the shoulder, arm, and hand muscles. Continue raising the thumb like this, very slowly until you reach the sixth string. I keep letting go of my shoulder and relaxing, checking my abdomen as the thumb separates from the hand. As I get it over the sixth string, pose in that position. Check the breathing and the entire body. Now, I'm going to lower the thumb back down slowly and return it to the second string. And that's the thumb up exercise. There are 4 conditions the thumb will be in when we play. It will be either on a string, off a string, traveling to a string, or in the act of sounding a string. If you think of the behavior of your thumb in this way, you'll become more intimate with your thumb when you play, and that means you will have more control over it. If it's on a string, waiting quietly to play that string, we call it the resting thumb. Touch your thumb lightly on the 4th string and feel it be very relaxed. Breathe and check your body, of course. If the thumb is resting lightly on the string, it means the upper arm and shoulder are cooperating to keep the thumb and the arm positioned, and the thumb is resting by its own weight on the string. Let's get in touch with a different sensation, though, the sensation of the upper arm letting go and the firm thumb transferring arm weight to the string. Take the left hand, feel your right bicep. Now make the thumb firm and let go of the upper arm and shoulder and direct the arm weight through the thumb to the string. Check in the mirror to see that the string is pushed down. Feel how the bicep softens as you do this. Now return to a light resting thumb as before, and you'll feel the bicep firm up as you do this. Breathe and relax the arm. Now look at your thumb and place it in between the 4th and 5th strings. Just let it float there. This is the floating thumb. Sometimes your thumb must be like this, waiting to play a string that needs to finish its note. The floating thumb takes great muscular control to hold steady. The entire arm is cooperating to keep your thumb steady here, and you should pose in this position often, breathing and relaxing, just keeping your thumb floating in between 2 strings. To go from a resting thumb that is firm and transferring the arm weight to the string to a floating thumb being held steady in between 2 strings is to put the whole arm through 2 very opposite states. This should be done often and at random, paying attention to maintaining relaxation during the transition. You'll gain a lot by developing the necessary control. Now we'll do the right hand string shifting exercise with the pushing thumb or the thumb rest stroke. Place the resting thumb on the 6th string. Begin to apply pressure, push through, and end with a resting thumb on the 5th string. And relax. Begin to apply pressure, push through, and end with a resting thumb on the 4th string. Relax. Begin to apply pressure, push through, end with a resting thumb on the 3rd string. Relax. Begin to apply pressure, push through, and end with a resting thumb on the 2nd string. Relax. Now begin to apply pressure, push through, and end with a resting thumb on the 1st string. And relax. Begin to apply pressure, push through, and since there's no string to rest on now, we'll circle the thumb back to the 2nd string after it plays. As you circle back, pay attention to the slight movement from the elbow required to move the hand and the thumb as a unit. Begin to apply pressure on the 2nd string, push through, and circle the thumb back to the 3rd string, resting the thumb on the string. Pressure, push through, circle the thumb back to the 4th string, resting the thumb on the string. Begin to apply pressure, push through, circle the thumb back to the 5th string, resting the thumb on the string. Begin to apply pressure, push through, circle the thumb back to the 6th string, resting the thumb on the string. Pressure, push through, relax. Notice that we always touch the string first, then apply pressure, then push through. You should always think of each note you play in this way. You may have heard of the word attack in music. It means the way a note is initiated, the exact manner in which it is physically produced. There's the attack of a piano note, the attack of a note that is sung, and so forth. When you think of the notes you play on the guitar and the way we've been doing them, touch, pressure, and play, it will keep you as relaxed as possible, and your notes will sound good. Now, there are two basic ways the fingers attack the string on the guitar, the free stroke and the rest stroke. They are each a very different way of using the finger to make a note on the guitar. They make a different type of sound, and they have different musical purposes. We'll look at the rest stroke first. When doing a rest stroke, the finger will strike the string and come to rest on the string behind. It looks like this. Rest strokes are used to give the fullest weight to our notes, to make what are called round tones from the guitar. That's why they're often used for single melody notes. They make the notes pop out and stand out. Actually, to the hand, they feel very good to make. They're a very vigorous stroke and bring about great physical development of the hand. We're going to learn a good rest stroke and immediately integrate it into the movements of the whole arm, upper arm, forearm, wrist, and hand itself. We're going to do this using the right hand string shifting technique and going down the strings with an index-middle combination while keeping the whole hand looking good and not going out of position, like this. So my hand is getting flat as I go along. That's what we don't want. We want all the parts of the anatomy to stay in a good relationship as we move, and we'll learn to travel the strings without getting tied up with tension. You have to keep the cup position of the hand and stay relaxed from the shoulder on down. This means we have to keep a stable hand, wrist, arm relationship as we travel the strings. This is absolutely critical to achieve before we can hope to deal with so much of the music out there. And yet many students who can't do even this right hand exercise alone successfully will commonly be dealing with difficult pieces that assume you can do this but will not give you the ability to do so. For rest stroke, we have to place the finger in this relationship to the string and then use it like this. Okay, the finger comes to rest on the string behind, but it must learn to relax immediately. Before we can practice the right hand string shifting exercise with the finger's rest stroke, we have to put this technique under the microscope and examine it in detail. We have to prepare the fingers to function in a way that doesn't tense everything else up. So let's do that. Get into the cup and listen to me. Now, from the cup position, slowly extend your index finger to touch the first string. But don't change your hand position. In other words, don't lower the hand down from the elbow as we did before. This will cause your index finger to be at the proper angle for rest stroke. Now relax and keep your finger there while I explain something to you. The rest stroke is a vigorous stroke, bringing great force to the string. Because of this, there's a great likelihood that you will allow sympathetic tension into other muscles, especially the muscles of the adjacent fingers. Here's what the hand looks like when I begin a note and allow too much tension to go into the other fingers. As I press on the string, the other fingers tense up like that if I do it wrong. Okay, now this is what often happens, and if you allow it, you'll be hitting a very early dead end in your guitar playing career. So we're going to practice the rest stroke with the fingers using the gradual pressure technique, and by doing so, we'll gain control over all the muscles and develop the ability to keep inactive muscles relaxed while the active ones are being used to bring pressure to the string. So now, let's put our attention back on the index finger, which is resting lightly on the first string. Check your breath and body for relaxation, and slowly begin to apply pressure to the string with the index finger, but keep your eyes and your attention on the other fingers and keep them relaxed as the index presses. Check your breath again. It's absolutely amazing how quickly we can start to hold our breath without realizing it. Now, pressure on the string, pose, relax, breathe, and keep those other fingers. Don't allow them to tense up like this, but keep them nice and relaxed. Now I'm going to push through the string and allow the finger to come to rest on the second string and relax it. Okay? Let's do that again together. Index finger, pressure, relax the other fingers. Okay? Now, allow that relaxed index finger to come off the second string and float in between the first and second, waiting for its next job while you bring your relaxed middle finger to the string lightly and touch it. Now repeat the same process with middle finger. Touch, pressure, relax everything, and push through. You must do this no tempo and use frequent posing in order to control your index finger and other fingers and keep them relaxed and in place as you apply pressure with the middle finger. If you find it difficult, don't worry, just do your best every day and you will see it get better and better, easier and easier to have control. Now let's finish down the strings. Index touches second string while the middle floats, index presses, pushes through, index floats, middle touches, presses, pushes through. Index on the third, presses, pushes through, index floats, the middle touches, presses, pushes through. Index touches fourth string, the middle floats, the index presses, pushes through. The index floats, the middle touches, presses, pushes through. The index touches the fifth string while the middle floats, the index presses, pushes through. Index floats, middle touches, presses, pushes through. Index touches the sixth string while the middle floats, the index presses, pushes through. The middle touches, presses, pushes through. Now we play the index again on the sixth string. Touch the sixth string lightly with the index finger. At the same time, extend your middle finger to the fifth string. As we play the index now, the middle is prepared on the next string for our trip back down the strings. It's very important at this point to let go from the shoulder as we play the index and then to allow an extremely slight dropping feeling in the shoulder as we prepare to play the middle on the next string. So let's play the index again on the sixth string, relax, and then bring the index forward. Keep it relaxed and floating in between the fifth and sixth strings as you begin pressure with the middle on the fifth string. Push through with the middle, play the fifth string while keeping the index relaxed and floating. Now place the index on the fifth string, touch, pressure, relax, bring your middle finger to the fourth string, touch it lightly in preparation. Now apply pressure with the index and push through. As you begin pressure with the middle on the fourth string, do the slight dropping action from the shoulder and the elbow and keep the index floating in between the fourth and the third strings in preparation. Now push through with the middle. Index touches the fourth, applies pressure. No, that's the third. Applies pressure as the middle comes forward and touches the third string lightly in preparation. Shoulder and the elbow drop. Now I play touch lightly with the middle, play, slight dropping action as the index reaches for the second string, touch, pressure, I touch lightly with the middle finger as I come forward with the index, I touch lightly with the index on the first string as my middle waits, pressure, play. Now I touch with the middle, pressure, and play.
Okay, good. All right. I'll tell you when. We're recording.
Take two. 1, 2, 3.
like putting them, yeah. I'm not a big fan. You want a music stand? Oh, you like that better?
It probably doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No, I'm not a big fan of putting the mics right on. You know, some people are, but who the hell puts their ears when you listen to this?
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, no, that's fine. You might have to put that track up a little.